any other place. It should be the Kisumu that was initially there. And it can also be accessed by only the right people when needed. So once you maintain the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of data, this is what constitutes the information security. Then let's look about the types of data that SMEs handle. Any SMEs, it handles a lot of information, and one information it handles is customer data, and then there is employee data. There is also that party data. So for customer data, this is information that the SMEs they collect from the client to deliver products or to deliver services or even to process payments. Think of it as names, phone numbers, bank account details, the M-Pesa transaction details, even the contracts that you sign with the client. That is customer data, because this is data that contains very sensitive information belonging to the client. Then there is the employee data. Now, this is the data that you use to manage your employees. Because any SME it employs a number of staff. It can be even 2 staff, it can be 5 staff, it can be 10 staff, depending on the size of your SME. There is the employee data. And this can be the national ID numbers, the phone numbers, even the salary. That is a very critical employee data. Even KRA PIN, bank account details, all that constitutes of the employee data. Then there is the business data. Now this is the core data that you use in your SME. Think about it as maybe a business plan that you have, strategy documents, even the financial records that are managed by your accountant or cashier or the finance manager. All these are constitute the business data. And then there is also the third-party data. The third-party data, this is data belonging to your suppliers or someone who supplies you with something. Maybe he supplies you with, it can be even a software, it can be supplying you even with facilities, maybe the rent and so on. So this third-party data can include something like the contracts, the supplier details, and so on. So all these are the types of data that are handled by any type of SMEs, and we should ensure that all this data is secure from any alteration. It has the confidentiality, it maintains the integrity, and it also maintains the availability of it. Then why does this data protection that you are talking about, why does it really matter in the digital economy? First of all, is about trust. This is very important nowadays, the client trust. Just imagine you are a customer. Would you trust any business that you are sure maybe the information will be hacked? Probably, I don't think so. Or you go to a place, you hear maybe Safaricom has been hacked, or any other small firm has been hacked. Would you trust them with your data once again? Probably not. And data protection now, it's about demonstrating to your client that the information that they give you, even not only your clients, the suppliers, even the employees, to show them that the information is safe from any alteration. And now, once you maintain this trust, you can get repeat business, even referrals, even strong reputation. Because once a client notices that some of his data or our data has been leaked, he will go and inform other clients that do not trust this business. This business has a reputation of losing data. So no one can trust any SME that will be hacked or that loses in personal information. And there's also the real risk for SMEs. Most SMEs they think because you are small, we cannot be targeted by hackers. There's this mindset that only hackers target the big firms. They only target Safaricom. They only target the central bank. They only target the SMEs. But the hackers they know that these small enterprises, in their minds, that it's that these small enterprises they are less prepared for any information security risks. So hackers nowadays they often target the smaller businesses. So even as an SME, do not take information security as an afterthought, or it's just for the big companies. Even for you, it's very critical, especially in the digital age. And it's very important because once a customer email leaks, or even in the payment details they leak, it can cost you your reputation. You know, nowadays there's the Kenya Data Protection Law that was passed in 2019, and even someone can sue you actually if you leak their data, and they can sue you for large sums. Just imagine you are sued maybe for 1 million Kenyan shillings or 2 million Kenyan shillings. That's a big financial hit. So these are real risk for SMEs. It does not only apply to the big firms. Then there is also the opportunity. Now, once you maintain information security, there is the client trust that you get. For especially if you're in the finance sector, or in the healthcare sector, or you have an e-commerce site, they really want the businesses that they can trust. Even if you want to maintain partnerships with other firms, it's very critical for you to protect all your data, because there's no firm which wants to be associated with an SME that is known for losing the client data. And as I said earlier before, this Kenya Data Protection Act, compliance is now a legal requirement. You can be sued in a court of law if you breach somebody's privacy, or you leak their information. So there's a big opportunity to be taken for any small and medium enterprises that prioritize data protection. Then let's give some little context on how any SME they rely on the digital economy. First of all, any SME they use mobile payments. I know everyone here uses M-Pesa, or if you don't use M-Pesa, you use Airtel Money, or you have online banking to process payments for employees. And there's also a lot of internet penetration in Kenya. There's an 85% plus, according to the Communication Authority of Kenya. So nowadays, anyone can access mobile data or Wi-Fi for online operations. And also any SME, I know most of you use the e-commerce platforms. It can be Gigi, it can be Jumia, it can be Kilimall. There are also SMEs which have their own e-commerce site where you sell your goods or services. You also advertise on social media, Facebook, it can be Instagram, it can be LinkedIn, it can be Twitter, to reach more customers. So all these, they have created opportunities, but they have also created a loophole for hackers to get your data. Because now in the digital economy, it's very easy for an hacker to get your data or to penetrate your systems. Then there is also the cloud services. The cloud services, Google, Microsoft Word, there's the CRM, there's the organizations which use the CRM for managing their customer relationship management. And now all these, now this is where the third party comes in, because this is a supplier for a service for you. Then also most SMEs, they provide sensitive data to lending platforms like Tala, Branch. If you want to access quick capital, you give out your information, your phone number, your ID number, your when you are born, and so on. And all this sensitive data, it's also vulnerable to hackers intercepting it. And also the SMEs, the pioneer digital solutions. Most SMEs have seen these agri-tech application, which links the farmers to the to the market. So also SMEs, they play a huge role in that. Now in this digital economy, as I said, It provides an opportunity, but there is also a very big risk that is lacking in this digital economy. That's why hackers they target SMEs because they know most SMEs nowadays they are connected to the internet. They know how to use the cloud services like Microsoft, like Google, and so on and so forth. So now, what's the solution for all this? In case you want to protect your data or to have a good structure for managing information security risks and to demonstrate to your clients that you really manage your information security. There's this standard called ISO 27001 2022. This is a document. It's about a 40-page document that it outlines the requirements for maintaining an information security management system. This information security management system, it's a structure or it's a foundation for managing your information security activities. And this management system, as I said, it's a system. So in any system, it's made up of policies, it's made up of processes, it's made up of procedures. And once you maintain all these procedures, you are able to protect your data. And you can see it was developed by the ISO and the IEC. In not only does it work in Kenya, it also works outside Kenya. So if you get certified ISO 27001, it means that you have met the requirements of this information security management system. That's why you see firms are ISO 27001 certified. Not only this ISO 27001, there's also ISO 9001 certified. I know you have seen those posts or those advertisements where a company says we are ISO 9001 certified or ISO 27001 certified. Once you are certified, it means that you have met the requirements of this document. And it's a document that you purchase from ISO website. And now this document it utilizes something called a PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. You plan for your information security management system. Just like with anything with life, you must plan for something before you do it. If you want even to establish any process or if you want to start your day, you must plan for your day. So in this information security management system, in planning, it means that you plan on what the organization does. This is where you plan what activities do we do in our SME, what objects do we want to achieve as an SME, in which environment operate. Of course, an SME that deals with finance and SME that also deals with HR, it will be very, very different on planning. Now, in the planning also, you also do something we call a risk assessment. That means you risks that can affect us as a business. And the risks, they also differ from organizations to organizations or from businesses to businesses. A risk that might affect this SME is not necessarily the risk that will affect any other SME. That's why you should plan. Now, after you plan, yes, tumejua ndio risks that zinaweza affect our organization. We have to do something about those risks. And that's why you come, we manage the information security risk. Hizi risk tumetafuta or tumeidentify, tunatafuta njia ya kuzi control so that they don't affect us. So we put control measures in place. Once we put the control measures in place, then we check. Remember, we can plan, we can do, but if we don't check, we are not sure if these controls that we put in place they are really working. That's why now you in the checking. You have implemented the controls. Umesema hii ndio control ya hii risk. So is this control really working? As this risk reduced? Of course, you cannot eliminate a risk completely. You can only reduce it. So have we reduced this risk in happening. Now, once you check, then you act. If you check and you get this as intended, now you have to act on it. You have to know what to do about it. This is where you implement something we call the corrective actions, the preventive actions. Yeah. And as I said, this ISO 27001, it's about a 40-page document. And in any document, it has a structure. And this structure, we call them clauses. So it's from clause 1 to clause 10. And now these clauses, upon the requirements ziko. Zile requirements we talked about, economic requirements za implement the information security management system. All these requirements are contained from clause 4 to clause 10. I'll just give a brief highlight of each clause according to the standard. So from clause 1 to clause 3, that is where they just give the definition of the document, what this document is about, and so on. So from clause 4, we have something called the context of the organization. In the context of the organization, this is where you determine the interested parties. For us as a small businesses, interested parties wetu ni kina nani? Interested parties wanaweza kuwa customers, even the government is an interested party. But remember, ikuwe kwa information security. Hata suppliers and interested parties, because of course they want the information security to be managed. Now, once you have determined your interested parties, ndio sasa unajua the environment that you operate in. After determining the interested parties, lazima pia put the processes in place, something we call the standard operating procedures. Kama ni manage this type of risk, what do we do for each type of that? Then clause 5 ni about leadership. Leadership ni important sana kwa ISO 27001 because bila leadership ku authorize this ISO 27001, it can't work in the organization. You have to get a buy-in from the leadership. So it's not something that just any employee comes and proposes that you want to implement ISO 27001 in organization. Also, the top management, they have to. By top management, I mean someone who can make a decision. It doesn't matter title yake ni gani, kama anaitwa CEO, kama anaitwa CFO, kama anaitwa manager, bora anaweza make a decision, a big decision. That's what we call the leadership. So the leadership, they have to authorize this. They have to set responsibilities. Lazima waseme for this ISO standard, who will be responsible for what? Who will be responsible for championing? Who will be responsible for information security risks? Once the leadership wamefanya hivyo, then now we come to planning. Planning sasa ndio plan for the information security management risks. Hapa ndio identify the risks zinaweza affect business yangu. Unajua ni risk gani inaweza affect this activity. Na planning lazima ujue the objectives. What are the objectives of the information security management system? We don't want just to be implementing something that will not be of use to us. So we have to set the information security objectives, and we have to identify the risks. Tukisha identify the risks now, lazima kuwe na support. Hizi risks lazima kuwe na support in the organization. Support inaweza kuwa in terms of employees. Of course, kama umeplan for risk and they have to be managed, they have to be managed by someone. This is where the support comes in. You have to identify the employees. Support inaweza kuja hata in terms of laptops, of the infrastructure, of the antiviruses and so on. Then in the operations sasa, the risks that we identified, lazima to work on them sasa. Tume plan, tukajua this is what we need, this is the employees that we need. Lazima to work on these risks. Lazima to implement the control measures. Lazima tujue for these risks, what will be the control for it. Tukishafanya hivyo, lazima to evaluate these controls, performance evaluation. na pia lazima tu evaluate our employees. Wale employees tulipatia kazi ya kumanage the risks, lazima tu evaluate them if they are really managing these risks. After that, now we come to improvement. Kwa improvement sasa is where we act on improving this information security management system. Ukisha implement this standard, wewe sema sasa implement sasa kazi imeishia hapo. You have to improve it every now and then. Of course, in the digital economy, things change from every now and then. Vitu mpya zinakuja, new technologies they come in. So we can't say we have just implemented it, wacha sasa tuachie hapo. Lazima to improve every now and then. And that's what we call the continuous improvement. Tukishafanya hivyo sasa, then now let's look at the common information security risks that face SMEs, and there are very many that face SMEs in today's landscape. We look at each one by one. There's something we call the social engineering. Social engineering, najua most of us have received these emails. Zile emails tunasemanga zimetoka committee. There was also that documentary in Citizen about the committee scam. This is the social engineering. This is where somebody they try to trick you in revealing confidential information. Unapata SMS inakwambia you have won an iPhone, or you have won a car, or you want to win 5,000 Kenyan shillings. Please click on this link. Ukiclick on that link, utapelekwa kwa another website where your information will be taken away. I can give an example. Just imagine an accountant in an SME who manages the finances of the SME, and I received a suspicious email. Just look at that email. Nasema equity bnak.co.ke, but because you have read it very fast, you think it's Equity Bank. You think it's the website for Equity Bank. Wanakwambia your account is at risk of being deactivated. Please click this link so that the account will not be suspended. Ukisha click your link, you get all your details will be transferred to an hacker. So that's what we call the social engineering. And social engineering is very dangerous because it can lead to loss of funds. Also, your data can be compromised by an outside person. Then we have something called the ransomware. A ransomware, it's where somebody locks access to your systems. Unaenda unaingia kompyuta yako unapata imelockiwa. Hata ukijaribu kuingiza password au ukiweka any password, it's not really working. That's what we call the ransomware. It is locked and you cannot access those systems. You can just imagine if you are for your business, you have inventory records or a customer list in Excel or in a database. Maybe a 500 pages of customers or a list of 500 customers. If it is locked, you cannot access a lot of things. And this happened in Kenya actually in 2018. There was somebody called the WannaCry ransomware attack. They were demanding about $300 for unlocking the computer files. So once they lock those access to the systems, they also demand a sum of money. If you want us to unlock your system, please pay us this amount of money. If you don't pay us, we don't unlock your system and you are locked out of business. So you can imagine if it is locked, your business is altered forever until you pay $300. And $300 is not an easy sum. It's quite a large sum. Then there's also something we call the distributed denial of service happens for the enterprises which have e-commerce sites. If you have an e-commerce site, unapata it's hanging, somebody cannot purchase anything from your e-commerce site. This is what we call the distributed denial of service attacks. And this also happened, it was in 2022. You remember there was a time the M-Pesa and citizen services was not working. You try to pay by M-Pesa, it brings up an error message. This is what we call a distributed denial of service attack. And this can also be very, very frustrating, especially for an online SME. Imagine it's peak hours when your customers like shopping a lot in your website. Then it's hanging a lot. Most customers will be frustrated and they cannot trust your enterprise again. They also affected the SMEs. Just imagine you are processing payments for a customer by M-Pesa and it was disrupted by anonymous Sudan. It could be very, very frustrating, especially if you are dealing with large sums of money. Then there's also the third party risks. These occurs when your suppliers or service providers. Umesema you are using Microsoft Excel or Google information security. Or let's say you have bought an accounting software from any firm or a third party inaccessible by an illegal person. This can be very frustrating, especially for SME. If you're utilizing this accounting software for your operations, it can be very, very frustrating for you. So even when you are dealing with suppliers, you have to be very, very careful. They don't introduce information security risks. And also in ISO 27001, there's something we call the externally provided services for information security. This is also very, very, very important. Then there's the insider threats. This is where the customer, let's say you have individuals such as employees, they target your systems. Let's say you have fired an employee. Huyo employee anasema lazima ni revenge for them firing me. Anasema lazima nitashare confidential company data with competitors. Before afayariwe, anasema wacha nipige pictures za all the contracts in the organization. He takes the pictures of the contracts, or he knows the passwords, then he shares them with competitors. That can also be very, very crucial because it will cause data leakage. Your operations will also be sabotaged. And also ISO, as I said before, they have controls for all this to prevent somebody from sharing confidential data with your competitors. So let's look about now what are the steps for implementing this ISO in your organization. You're a small business, umesema tunataka kuchukua ISO for organization. How do we go about it? To implement this standard. And now this is where value marks we come in place to make sure that implementing this standard, it's very, 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 very easy so that you can adopt it very well. So this is the implementation process. Iko na steps from step 1 to step 11. First of all, it's something that we call the ISO awareness. In ISO awareness, we give you now the information about this ISO standard. We now give you the details of the clauses. Easy clauses tumeongea about, we have to train you on these clauses, how they work, how do you implement them. This is where we come in as value marks. And now this, we also need your cooperation. So it's the client to give us the time, to give us the attention, and for us as the consultant to make you aware of this ISO standard. Then there's also gap analysis. Gap analysis, now because we said ISO has requirements, we look at the requirements of this ISO standard against your existing practices. Are you doing what ISO is saying? Now we identify the gaps. If we identify the gaps, we know where to concentrate more on. After doing the gap analysis, of course, we have to get the management commitment. What I talked about leadership, it's very important for any organization wanting to implement ISO 27001. You have to get your time, your resources, your plan also, and also the training and the capacity building. Now after that, we come to the core work. We define the ISMS, the Information Security Management System. Tuna document these standard operating procedures. Because your document ISO 27001, iko na documents they need to be maintained. There are certain types of documents that have to be maintained. An example is something called information security policy. We have to ensure that it's documented. And once we agree it's documented now, we have to implement this documentation, including something we call the statement of applicability. The statement of applicability in simple terms is it's a document that says which risks that you have and which controls that you choose. Because this ISO standard, it also has controls for any type of risk that can affect an organization. So you have to select the controls that work for you. Then after that, we also do the internal audits. Internal audit is very, very important in any ISO standard. It's a requirement for ISO certification. So once we do the internal audit now, we do the management review. In internal audit, ndio sasa tunaangalia if what you decided it's what you are doing. Kama tulisema hii risk tuta control hivi. Is it what is really being done? Tukishafanya internal audit, there's something called the management review. Management lazima they review these internal audit reports. Lazima review the information security management system to ensure it's working as intended. We also do the pre-assessment audit or the mock audits. This is to prepare you just for the certification audit. Now in the certification audit, we invite a certification body ndio wa certify sasa. Wanaangalia kama meet the requirements of US ISO standard, then they award you the ISO certification. Now wakisha award ISO certification, you have to make sure you maintain and improve this ISO certification. It's not just a certificate. You have to make sure you improve it every now and then. Because if you don't improve, you'll be caught up by time. You'll find that the information security management system is not really working for you or working as intended. Then what are the benefits for this ISO certification? You get enhanced protection against any information security management threats. This ISO standard is very, very comprehensive. It's about 93 controls for managing any information security threats. It can be hacking, you can control to manage ransomware, you can control to manage employee kutoiba your data and share it to external personnel and so on. And you also get the competitive advantage in the digital economy and access to international markets. As I said earlier before, it's an international standard, meaning you don't get just certified in Kenya. You also demonstrate in other countries, in Europe, in case you want to get a customer from Europe or from America. If you are ISO certified, it levels the playing ground. An ISO certified company in Kenya is the same as an ISO certified company, let's say Europe or any other country. And it also helps in compliance with local and global laws, kama the Kenya Data Protection Law. This Kenya Data Protection Law, as I said, it was enforced in 2019. When they enforced it, they borrowed some of their principles from these ISO standards. So once you implement this ISO 27001, it's also very unlikely for you to not comply with this Kenya data protection law. And there's also cost-effective risk management. Risk management is very important ISO 27001. So once you implement this standard, you have a cost-effective way of managing your information security management risk. And you also improve customer trust. Customer akisikia uko ISO certified, he knows this business, they are really protecting my information. And customers nowadays, they really trust they are really skeptical about what you do with their information. That's why it's very important for you to maintain the customer trust and reputation. There's also increased employee accountability. The clause I said about leadership, it talks about responsibilities for and the roles for the activities in the information security management system. So once you implement this standard, there is an increased employee awareness. Employees are aware, okay, this is what you should do. And if any all employees actually, they feel that you are ISO certified, they'll trust the organization. They will want to work for your small businesses for very many years. So it also increases your employee awareness and also accountability. Then next, let me share it again. So employees are it also increases the employee awareness in your organization. So what are some of the key lessons? Because as I said, you have implemented this ISO standard for many farms in Kenya, Djibouti, and also Somalia. So what are some of the lessons that we can learn from these farms before you even get certified? What are the key lessons that we can learn from farms which are implementing this ISO standard? One key lesson is that leadership buy-in is very important. If the top management is not in line with this ISO standard, or they don't own this ISO standard, I can promise you that it will not go as far as you would want. So leadership buy-in is very critical for implementing this ISO standard. And there's also the case of the gap analysis. Gap analysis is also very important. And now this is where ValueMax Consulting Limited, we come in to help you with gap analysis. You identify what the standard requires from you and the existing practices that you have. If there's a disconnect between them, this is where we come in to help you. There's also the risk assessment. Risk assessment is very important. If you don't conduct a comprehensive risk assessment, you will find that you are identifying the wrong risks that will not affect your organization. So it's very important for you to conduct a comprehensive risk assessment that is tailored to your organization. You don't want to do a risk assessment that is tailored for another small business, or it's a risk that does not affect your industry. And now that's where ValueMax again we come in place to help you with conducting the comprehensive risk assessment. There's also employee training. It drives adoption. If employees are not properly trained on this ISO standard, it will be very hard for you to implement this ISO standard. All employees have to be trained. They have to know what this ISO standard is all about. They have to know what it means to be ISO certified. You don't want a situation where only the leadership they know what is ISO. The junior employees or the other management they are not sure about what is ISO. So it's very important for the employees to be aware of what is ISO 27001 2022. Also, there are some pitfalls that we observe or some mistakes that some companies they do. or some small businesses. Some small businesses, they also underestimate resource needs. You allocate insufficient time or the staff. If you allocate insufficient time, it will be very hard for us to implement this standard for you. You have to make sure that if we say we are coming to train you, you have to make time for us to train you on this ISO standard. If it's time for documenting these standard operating procedures, you have to make sure you allocate or you make time for us to do this for you. Because if you don't do this, it can delay implementation and certification. There are some companies which take even 2 years to implement and certify because there's a delay from their side. There's also the neglecting the documentation. Some small businesses they just do documentation just for the sake of documentation. You document what you are not really doing. So if you do that, it can be a very it can really hurt you. So you have to make sure that what you document is what you really do in your organization. So that is also very important. And also there's the issue of assuming SMEs are low risk targets. As I said earlier before, hackers nowadays, they know that SMEs are less and less prepared, meaning that they know an easy target to target. It's not Safaricom or a bank. It's these SMEs because they know that the SMEs they are less aware of these risks. That's why you should make sure you prioritize risk management, and you should know that any small or large or medium organization, it can be easily hacked. So we should make sure you prioritize risk management. And once you prioritize this risk management, your ISO certification will be very smooth, and you will get ISO certified in no time. So, just share again. So you should make sure that you don't take information security as an afterthought. Make sure you take it very seriously, and once you take it very seriously, you will be able to manage your information security management system. So thank you once again for that, Mordecai. And in that juncture, I have ended my presentation for today. I'll hand it over to Mordecai. If there are any questions, they can be shared in the comment box. So you can visit us as Valuemax Consulting Limited. We are located at Nanak House, room 301, Kimadi Street. In case you want more details on these ISO standards, or you want us to do a quote for you, how much it takes for you to be certified, or how long it will take, you can reach out to us through info@valuemax.co.ke, or you can also visit our website, that is www.valuemax.co.ke. I'll hand it over to Mordecai. Mordecai, you are there?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry. Thank you for taking us through that. And now we'd like to welcome the participants or anyone who is listening in. If they have any question, they can ask. You can either raise up your hand and we'll give you an opportunity to ask a question or interact with it. So if you have any question, you can just raise up your hand and we'll be able to respond to that. And also, if you feel like you are somebody who cannot talk, you can also leave it on the chat. So we have Philip and Isaac. So Philip, you can go first, then Isaac will follow.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that very wonderful presentation. There is a lot of noise around data protection, but then as support organizations, there is that understanding that we really don't understand what really that means, and this has provided a bit of clarity. So I would give a case and then ask about how then it could have been handled. There was an email I received last week. I had applied for a position somewhere, and what they did was they responded by not they carbon copied actually. So you receive a feedback from someone, but then you can be able to see all the other people you applied, their email addresses and whatnot. So is that a case of data privacy infringement, and how then does someone go about it?
Thank you for that good question, Philip. So you said you applied for a position, then you saw that it was carbon copy. You're talking about the CC. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
what happened was they replied to it, but then you could be able to see every other application, almost like 270 applicants, but they are replying to one person, but then they have copied the other people. So I can be able to see an email from someone who is in Kisumu, who is in Bungoma, who I don't know, and they can also be able to see my email. So is that a case of data protection infringement?
Okay. You can look at it in both ways, because if it's a requirement for the organization for it to be CC'd, that's not data infringement, because the organization, it also has its requirements for how to send emails. So if these emails contain personal data like phone numbers, email address, physical location, did they contain that?
Absolutely. They contain the email addresses for everyone. You see
Okay,
the way I
okay,
can send you an email and
okay.
then I copy other people, you're able to see who was copied in terms of being able to see their email addresses.
Okay, okay.
I can do an email to you and I don't know you because I received I saw your email on that application.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All I'm saying is that if it's a requirement from the organization to CC other persons in their email addresses, then that cannot constitute data infringement. Because remember, in any organization, they have their requirements for information security or how they handle their business. So if the organization has said that we must carbon copy everyone, then that's not an infringement of information security or data privacy from their end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Thank you, Isaac. Next, you can go next, Isaac, then Robert.
Okay, thank you. I really have learned a lot today, especially data protection part, and I really appreciate that. On the other hand, I have put it on the chat two things. One, will you be sharing the representation? That was the first one answered, but the next one was not answered, which is a risk assessment template. Are you able to share risk assessment templates when you are sharing the presentation? Thank you.
You are on mute. Victor, you are on mute. You are on mute.
Sorry for that. Sorry for that. As I'm saying, for the risk assessment templates, you have to contact us so that we can understand your needs, because we just don't share like that. So you have to contact us first so that you can tailor make this risk assessment template for you, because these risk assessment templates, they differ from client to client. So it will not be possible for us to share the risk assessment template. But what you can do, you can just contact us, and then we understand what are your needs. Then we can know the next step forward. So yes, we'll share the presentation, but this assessment, you have to contact us. Then we can understand what you would like to be to this risk assessment template for you.
Okay, thank you for that. Robert, you had your hand up.
Thank you so much, and a very good morning to has been so great and has more information. Thank you so much, and Kepsa, for whatever you're doing for SME. I'm really so glad. Maybe just my comment is, now I don't know how we can ensure such kind of training can be done to people who are holding people's data at various gates. For example, when you go to a place, you're being told, write your names here, your details here. The next time you hear somebody's calling you, telling you XY, your child is here, can you send number to this one? And that's why Rob Search Limited, now we came up with something called Soldier App. Now the Soldier App is now a way to help people comply with the data privacy, where people can use their, soldiers can use their mobile phone and they can use tablet to pick the data so that the previous person does not see who is already there. They cannot take screenshot. And for them to retrieve that data, there's other several approval that are required. So what can it be done to ensure that the data privacy is training is done to many people? Because some people, like now the one for email that he has just said, I believe that person sent the data without knowing the effect part of it, or maybe did not know. So how can you do this to ensure it happens? Thank you so much. I will be willing to also to connect with you. My number is on the chat. Thank you so much, Kepsa team.
Okay, thank you for that. This training, we offer trainings to many organizations. So in case you would like us to train you on data protection, ISO 27001, you can contact us on the numbers that will be indicated in the chat box. Of course, you cannot force anyone to come for our training. So it has to be something that any organization wants to be trained on data security. But remember, once again, there's the Kenya Data Protection Act. So someone can sue you if you don't maintain the privacy of their data. Someone can go to a court of law, and you can be sued for large sums of money. But the good thing at ValueMax, we offer these training services. So in case you want us to train you on data privacy in more detail, we can do that at your convenience. Any other question?
Thank you. If there's any other question, you can just unmute and then ask directly.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, and my question goes to Kepsa. This is Isaac from TD Agency. Actually, what happens, I've been part of 20 digital project, and there were expectations of financing trainings, which might to trainings for us to access the fund for us to have financial access. Thank you. This question goes to Kepsa. I don't know if they're there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I guess if there's no question, I see that those who are requesting for the presentation, yes, we'll share. And besides that, like I said, when we are starting the conversation, the session, and also ValueMax is part of the MSME Financing Gateway, besides what they're already offering. And also, if you want to interact with what they are offering, you can visit the MSME Financing Gateway platform, and you just go to their options here as well. There's find financing provider, find financing options, so you can find financial facilities. Then the second option is finding business development support. So kama unataka any support that can help your business grow in terms of either training, advisory, and all that, you can get them here. So unaona ukikuja hapa, you'll see the service. For example, if you type ValueMax Consulting, you'll see their service here. Implementation and certification, what they do, what that type of service is, their sectors, they serve all sectors, which type of businesses they work with, minimum business requirement, all sectors. And again, so this information is, you can go and get it here. And if you want to contact them, or just get a call back, and you press that button, then you write your name, phone number, and the message that you want from them, then you share. So that is how you'll be able to get the different services. And there are also other services besides that you can look for. And they are on the other side, find financing options. There are also facilities that shows you which amount you can get, business eligibility. So information inafanya ujue whether once you apply, you'll be able to get a facility here. Yeah, but besides that, you can just go visit MSME Financing Gateway. Then you register as a user here. Then after registering as a user, you create an account. After creating an account, you're able to join. Then you can log in and view all the offerings. Then there are also news and events targeting MSMEs. So if you also want to get to read about news and events, you can read about it here as well. So if for example, ValueMax has an upcoming activity, you'll be able to see it here. And you want to attend it, you'll be able to see it here. The webinars, you'll be able to see it here. Yeah. So that's how it works. And if you want to join, just go and type MSME Financing Gateway, but we'll still share the link with you as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. Besides that, we also have our upcoming KEPSA SME conference on the 26th and 27th of June. It will be happening at Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development for the 2 days. So it will be starting at it will be starting at 8 a.m. up to 5 p.m. on the 2 days. So if you want to, so if you want to attend the conference, I'll also share a link to register. And the theme will be around market access. So if you also want that, I'll share that with you on email after the call. Yeah, so this is the MSME Finance, the KEPSA SME Annual SME Conference Awards and Exhibition. So if you want to attend as a delegate, if you want to exhibit, there'll be an opportunity there. So we had our first one last year, and this year we are having our second edition for the KEPSA SME Conference. And you can either exhibit, if you want to exhibit, you can come as a delegate, it has a commitment fee. And there are also other different opportunities here as well. So we'll also be sharing this with you. Yeah, so these are the 3 ways you can participate. You can be a delegate, you can exhibit, or you can be a partner, the main partner of the conference, and also be sharing that with you. So thank you again so much. I don't know if there's anyone from either Catherine, if you have anything to say as we close off.
Hello, KEPSA.
Hello.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the kind of presentation you made now, and I have registered myself from that gateway.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking is all about to end the digital project. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you. So I have been part of that, and I was waiting that my company participates pre-funding trainings
Mm-hmm.
for that program of to end the digital project. So my company is up to now has not attended since September, October, I mean, last year. So
you agree? Uh-huh.
So we were supposed to attend, it has been launched in October, I remember 9, that project, October 9 last year. So up to now, we're expecting, to get that trainings. And my company is not invited up to now. I applied several times. I think they were not actually inviting me. I don't know what happened.
Okay, thank you for that question. I'll follow up with the key app team, that the ones who are implementing the program. So I'll try and seek guidance on what happened, and I'll give you feedback.
Okay,
You can
thank you.
also
Okay.
just provide your contact information on the chat, so that once I follow up, I'll be able to give your feedback.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mordecai. Mine is just a comment. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Catherine Bogo from ValueMax Consulting Limited. My colleague Victor has done a good presentation. Thank you, Victor, for that. And we look forward to such opportunities and to educate more on information security, quality management system, and also more of our services that we offer. So thank you so much, Mordecai.
Thank you, Catherine, for that. And thank you so much to everyone who has taken their time to be here with us today. And and every info session you organize is just to give information of what is available. And so just take the opportunity to learn and also to network and get the opportunity to grow your business, like what ValueMax is doing. You can go through to interact with them through the gateway or through the information that Victor had provided here. So thank you so much, everyone. And before we close it off, and I'll be sharing all that has been discussed, I'd like to welcome someone to close us off with a word of prayer. Isaac, if you can pray for us.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. May Allah guide us towards the right direction and make us achieve our goals. Thanks, Almighty God. Thank you all.
Thank you, Isaac. And thank you so much, everyone. All the best in your business. And see you at the conference in the 26th and 27th of June. Bye-bye.